The Wheel and the Butterfly, written by Justice3442 and read
by Justice
and 3442. Chapter 30, Pinky vs. Video Games. That's a wrap!
Ah!
Dan sounded in frustration. 3 in a row, Pinky sang out, flicking her colorful multi-bracelet-clad wrist up and holding the controller upside down in her pink nail-polished hand. The bracelets completed the ensemble of a short-sleeved red shirt with a floral pattern and rolled-up jean shorts. Dan turned to glare at his roomie on the opposite end of the couch.
It's just because you have some bizarre affinity with Peacock,
Dan insisted. Pinky shrugged, smiled, and extended an elbow out, placing fingertips upon her heart. What can I say? Her cartoony, violent tendencies speak to me on a deep personal level, she said, closing her eyes for dramatic effect.
Just pick someone else and I'll clean your clock.
Wait. Pinky paused and glanced to the ceiling, tapping on her cheek with her free hand. Do I even own a clock, and is it dirty?
That's not what I meant, you idiot!
Dan bellowed. Pinky looked back at Dan with a pout. Dan sighed and took a few calming breaths.
Look, can we randomly select our characters for a while?
A smile slowly spread across Pinky's face. Random, huh? Dan, I'm not sure if we met. Pinky extended a hand across the couch. I'm Pinkie Pie, and I'm the princess of random. Dan furrowed his brow with the hand for a second, but it gave way to a small, wicked grin as he reached out and shook it.
Well, princess, I hope you like crow, because it's what you'll be eating for the next several rounds.
Pinky paused again, retracting her hand. I thought we were having chicken for dinner, Pinky said with a confused expression. Do crows even have that much meat on them? Dan rolled his eyes.
Just select random.
Oh, okay, Pinky responded enthusiastically.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Pinky narrowed her eyes slightly and scrunched her lips to one side of her face. Sarabella, huh? Well, at least Dad didn't get pain. In a flurry of button pushing and analog stick moving, the fight was over.
It's super effective!
Piggy's eyes went wide as she stared at the screen. Dan's small, wicked grin had grown up into a big, toothy, evil smile.
Sorry, Pinky. Circus antics aren't going to cut it against a classy lady with an umbrella that fires napalm.
Pinky turned back to the screen with determination. Beginner's luck. I won't go easy on you next time. But then...
Alright, show's over.
Pinky's eye twitched as the corner of her mouth raised in a small grimace. And then...
Can I have a round of applause for our contestants?
And still...
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Why? And again...
That's all, folks.
Pinky's beet red face contorted into rage as she gritted her teeth.
Hey, you're getting better.
Dan said.
Or at least, less terrible.
He added with a smug smile. With a frustrated growl, Pinky sat up and marched into the bedroom.
Leaving so soon?
Dan sang out.
We can go best of 15.
He suggested with the same smug smile plastered on his face. A smile that quickly departed as Pinky marched back out of the bedroom with her pink crowbar resting on her shoulder, carried in both hands as if she was holding a baseball bat.
May I inquire as to what you plan on doing with that? Dan
asked in a rather concerned tone of voice. Pinky marched up to the TV and eyed the video game console on the ground. Rectifying a mistake, she answered as she held the crowbar above her head.
Wait!
Dan pleaded. Pinky turned her head and fixed Dan with narrow blue eyes, leaving the crowbar held high in the air. What?
Your Nino no Kuni saves are on there.
Pinky lowered the crowbar and bowed her head. You're right, Dan. I don't know what I was thinking. I can't destroy those. Dan breathed a sigh of relief.
Good. Now maybe we can find something less competitive.
Pinky turned her head without shifting her body and stared at Dan with somewhat detached, vacant eyes. But I can destroy you, Pinky said coldly. She moved her body to face Dan while fixing him with a stare, keeping her head in the same position. Her vacant eyes seemed to focus, and Dan could see a glint of madness in them that sent shivers down his spine.
What? Pinky, wait! Whoa!
Dan dove behind the couch as Pinky brought down the crowbar on the cushion he was sitting on mere moments ago. The impact of Dan hitting the floor caused a wooden baseball bat that was leaned against the nearby wall to clatter to the ground and roll towards him. Dan reached for the baseball bat and quickly got back to his feet.
Pinky, I'm usually all for violently delivered vengeance, but maybe we can talk about this?
Dan offered, holding the baseball bat in front of him and raising his eyebrows a few times. Nah, Pinky said simply. I think I'll try it your way for a change. A mad smile erupted across Pinky's face. On guard! Pinky closed the distance between her and Dan and took a horizontal swing at Dan's ribs. Dan lowered his bat and attempted to block, but only succeeded in deflecting the blow slightly. He felt a sharp pain in his side as cold steel collided with skin and bone. He winced as Pinky's mad smile grew. She pulled back for another swing, keeping a close eye on Dan's bat. Rather than retreat, Dan stepped in even closer to Pinky and quickly raised the handle of the bat up. Pinky's eyes tracked the bat as the club drew away from her, missing that the knob at the end of the handle of the bat was rapidly approaching her face. Before Pinky had time to swing again, Dan clocked her chin with the knob of the bat. Pinky's head flew back and she stumbled backwards onto the couch. One hand let go of the crowbar and reached out for the couch, steadying Pinky. Her mad smile sifted as she lowered her head back to glower at Dan. Dan's expression had shifted too. He was now smiling madly with eyes to match.
You wanna play rough, Rumi? Then let's play rough,
he said with a hint of excitement.
Ah!
Pinky lunged at Dan with a frustrated growl, swinging her weapon. Likewise, Dan matched the lunge and swing, and the two combatants rapidly approached weapons on each other. Several minutes of close-quarter bludgeoning followed by close-quarter hand-to-hand combat later. Dan? Pinky asked from under her roommate's body, a hand raised up to his face. How did we end up like this?
You attacked me with a crowbar because I kept beating you at schoolgirls,
Dan reminded as he pinned one of Pinky's arms down with his hand and held himself up off the ground with the other. Oh, right. Well, the knee in my sternum is telling me that I probably overreacted there.
Probably?
Dan roared. Yeah, I'm in the wrong here, Pinky admitted. I suck. Dan shot her a glare with one eye, the other eye a tad preoccupied with the thumb that was being pushed into it. Truce? Pinky asked. This really hurts. She choked out. Dan took a calming breath and shifted his legs so he could push off the ground and lift himself up. He offered a hand to Pinky, which she accepted as Dan helped her to her feet. Dan rubbed his eye with a hand and continued staring at Dagger and Pinky with the other.
Well, to her credit, she gave as good as she got. To her detriment, she attacked me with a friggin' crowbar!
Pinky's lower lip quivered as she fully processed what had just transpired. I'm really sorry, Dan. Tears began to form in Pinky's eyes. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm a monster! Ah! Pinky buried her face into her hands and sobbed into her palms. Dan's expression softened. He put a hand on Pinky's shoulder and led her over to the couch, sitting her down and sitting next to her.
There, crybaby. We've all assaulted our friends with a potentially lethal instrument at one time or another.
Dan spread his arms out wide, keeping his injured eye shut.
Come on, stop blubbering. You're forgiven.
Really? Pinky asked, lowering her hands, revealing a small smile, tears still in her eyes. Dan smiled and extended his arms out a few times to emphasize his uncharacteristic desire for a hug. Pinky leaned in and embraced Dan as the two wrapped their arms around each other, cringed painfully, and quickly pulled away, rubbing bruises.
Let's save hugging for when we're not covered in bruises we inflicted on each other,
Dan suggested. Yeah, Pinky said in agreement. Next time I'm mad at you, I think I'll stick to tickle torture.
Could you wait until the bruises on my ribs heal?
No promises, Pinky answered with a sheepish smile. Woo! Pinky looked at the eye Dan still held close to it or having her thumb shoved into it. Eye patch, Pinky said simply, shoving a hand in between the couch cushions and retrieving a black eye patch.
Thanks,
Dan said as he took the eye patch and placed it around his head, covering the injured eye. I told you it was worthwhile to stash eye patches around the apartment in case of eye patch emergency, Pinky said with a smile.
Yeah,
Dan responded.
Though I'm guessing you weren't thinking I need one because you stuck a thumb in my eye.
Dan grumbled irritably. Pinky's smile dropped. Dan, I really am sorry that I attacked you like that. You're like my bestest friend in the whole wild world. I never want something bad to happen to you, let alone inflict it. Pinky explained. Dan raised his eyebrow at Pinky.
What? Pinky, stop taking over the narrative. Excluding times when I pushed you into a desire to see me stabbed, I'm guessing.
Pinky sighed and raised her feet and legs onto the couch, wrapping her arms around her knees and placing her chin on them. I'm not really proud of those times either, Pinky admitted. She thought for a moment. I guess this place is starting to get to me a bit.
The apartment? I mean, I guess it's pretty small for two people.
No. Pinky insisted, placing her feet back on the ground and her hands about. I really love our cozy apartment together, she said with a quick smile. It's the city that's starting to get to me.
Oh, well, it is a hotbed of morons and mouth breathers,
Dan responded. It's not just that. Pinky paused and glanced to the side as she rubbed her chin with her free hand. Though I must admit it's seemingly mostly populated by a cast of incredibly dense, oblivious people, and stereotypes for some reason. Pinky frowned. Who often want my phone number, she added. Pinky looked back at Dan and continued. But I guess those are just parts of home that I'm really starting to miss.
Maybe we can throw another cross-dimensional party?
Dan suggested. Pinky smiled. Well, Rainbow Dash and Spike seem to really like the Ramones, and Twilight obviously found them easy peasy to dance to. Pinky cocked her head slightly. Though I think Rarity, Applejack, and Fluttershy might need a break from punk.
Poor Fluttershy spent most of the party hiding under a chair.
Dan mused. Pinky creased her brow. Yeah, she's more of a songbirdie and classical music type. Anyhow, I miss being with them, but I can still see them and hang out with them when I want. What I'm really missing is trees that have branches and not falling asleep to the sound of sirens and gunfire, and rodents that aren't of unusual size that attack me when I come back with a bag full of groceries.
To be fair, that last one is probably just localized to this apartment complex.
Dan said, pointing an index finger at Pinky. He narrowed his eye.
Wait, are you suggesting we go camping?
Pinky's face changed to a pout. And what if I am?
Pinky! Camping is where people get mauled by wildcats or murdered by serial killers, or even attacked by bears after a bear pheromone mishap.
Pinky's eyes turned sad, and her lower lip began to quiver.
No, not the face, please!
Dan pleaded, his voice giving way to a sigh.
Fine,
Dan said, hanging his head. Yay! Pinky said with a smile. Ooh, we should see if Chris and Elise want to come. Dan smiled.
Good thinking. They can distract the serial killer with their stabbable bodies while we make our escape.
Right, Pinky responded with a smile. Wait, what? Pinky asked, crinkling her brow at Dan.
I mean, the bloodthirsty killer will be too busy savagely murdering them to notice when we flee.
Dan, you just rephrased the same thing you said earlier, Pinky informed.
Didn't I?
Dan said with a sly smile. Pinky smiled nervously. I'm going to go call Elise now. Thanks for listening, listeners.